The trio of agreements struck between the Prime Minister and President Emmanuel Macron during the French state visit to Britain are a visit marked by high diplomacy, old grievances, and ambitious pledges. These three deals on immigration, on nuclear deterrence, and on Ukraine together constitute what some are calling the Entente Redux. And starting with the migration deal, derisively nicknamed the Hokey Cokey because of its one-for-one mechanism, the concept the UK will return small boat migrants to France in exchange for accepting one carefully vetted asylum seeker from France via a safe and legal route. And initially, there will be about 50 returns a week, some 2,600 a year, a tiny fraction of the more than 20,000 annual crossings. But the purpose is to break the model of people smuggling by making small boat journeys futile. And the legal hurdles, the agreement must clear scrutiny by the EU, since France's border is an EU external frontier, and the criticism, even before the ink was dry, hundreds crossed the channel this very morning, mocking the deterrent effect. Critics say the scheme is symbolic, designed to show action rather than to stop the boats. And President Macron, in a moment of candour, blamed Brexit itself for the surge in crossing, saying Britain lost EU-wide return agreements when it left the bloc. Absolutely. He described Brexit as having sold a lie that leaving would tighten borders. It hasn't. It's opened borders. Because the people who are coming across from France, we don't know what their background is. We don't know whether they've been denied opportunities in Greece, in Turkey, in former Yugoslavia, wherever in the Balkans. The Starmer, for his part, refused to play that blame game. He pitched the deal as proof of the government's commitment to serious, quiet diplomacy, a dig at Nigel Farage, who was grandstanding in Dover for the cameras. This deal is a gamble. It's a pilot, not a solution. It rests on the belief that even small numbers can send a big message. As for the nuclear cooperation, we have a declaration on nuclear deterrence, arguably the most consequential agreement of the day, though overshadowed by the migration row. And the Northwood Declaration, for the first time, Britain and France will formally coordinate their nuclear deterrence. It's a united European nuclear signal to adversaries, chiefly Russia, where both states remain sovereign but promise no extreme threat in Europe would go unanswered by either. And these are the only two nuclear powers in Europe, and their cooperation sends a message that Europe will not rely forever on the American umbrella, especially with the US's shifting posture under Trump or his successors. And the deal includes coordination of doctrine, exercise, and crisis planning. Starmer called it historic, saying it underpins European defence and NATO security and solidarity. And Macron was even blunter. Europe must now know it can count on this strategic partnership. The pact reflects a broader shift. With American unpredictability, Europeans are forced to think of their own security architecture. Franco-British nuclear coordination is a giant, if overdue, step in that direction. Finally, the two leaders endorsed an expanded role for their so-called coalition of the willing to support Ukraine. There's a new headquarters. They will establish a permanent base in Paris with plans for future coordination in Kyiv, the purpose to maintain pressure on Russia even as peace talks or ceasefires may one day take shape. And the sanctions coordination, the supply of arms, including new cruise missiles, and planning for a post-war deterrent force to keep Russian aggression at bay. All of this, together with the diplomatic message that the UK and France are presenting themselves as Europe's security leaders in supporting Ukrainian sovereignty. Starmer stressed that supporting Ukraine is essential for our own security, underscoring the link between frontline resistance in the Donbass and safety in Britain and France. These deals form a single strategy to show that after years of Brexit rancor, Britain and France can do serious business together. The migration deal is the hardest sell. It's legally tricky and numerically small, but it's meant to show pragmatic problem solving. And the nuclear agreement is a diplomatic milestone suggesting a maturing European security posture, and the Ukraine initiative shows leadership where Washington may one day waver. The critics call it a triumph of optics over substance, perhaps. Proponents call it the foundation for a new European partnership. The truth lies somewhere between, and these deals are imperfect, often symbolic, but they also represent the first real attempt in years to rebuild trust across the Channel. And in that sense, they're not merely policy, they are politics at its highest and perhaps at its most necessary.